Hello, dear comrades, dear esteemed friends. We will summarize our meeting with the lectures where we got acquainted with the concept of public dead water. And now a concluding point about what was discussed. What needs to be done for our life to be normal in our country and on the entire planet Earth. And we will start with this. Sociology consists of two words: socium, society, and logi, study. In other words, in translation to Russian, it means life affirmation. And this task of life affirmation is addressed by the priesthood. Biblical Judeo-Christianity has displaced national priesthood from the sphere of influence over people's destinies. This has also happened in our country. The national priesthood indeed carried a multinational conceptual authority. Biblical Judeo-Christian priesthood has displaced and monopolized the Jewish non-Masonic priesthood, which has become a pseudo-priesthood and has given people a pseudo-science, sociology, or it can be called sociology, a lie. The unscientific nature is proven by the fact that civilization has approached a global systemic crisis, which is recognized by all scientists, and not only scientists, but also politicians. Everyone acknowledges that humanity has now reached a global systemic crisis. Therefore, in the concept of public safety, dead water states that in true sociology, that is, in life affirmations, there should be comparative theologies and comparative Satanism. Why is this obvious? God exists as a transcendent reality. Various religious beliefs and cults provide their own interpretations and understandings. There are openly satanic cults. And to understand all this mixture, all this conglomerate, one must provide a clear understanding of what is what. Psychology, both individual and collective, biology, genetics as a part of biology, and the associated fields of mathematics, quite general theories of control and related fields of mathematics. By the way, this is why we say quite general theories of control. Only God knows the general theory of control in its most general form. We have been given sufficient knowledge so that at this historical moment of the development of the super system of which we are a part, we can use these management questions. It can be expanded, but in full measure. Only God knows the general theory of control in all its fullness, while we possess the necessary knowledge for our needs and are guided by it in our activities. This is why it is called sufficiently general theory of control. The theory of oscillations and its related fields of mathematics, astrology, we have already mentioned more than once that it should be returned to the realm of exact sciences and used as a theory of oscillatory processes of interaction between the Earth, the cosmos, and humanity. The theory of global and national historical processes can only be viewed through the lens of management processes. That is, how histories unfolded, how social processes unfolded in the global historical process. Linguistics, because language is measure, with the help of which we define all processes occurring in the universe. Ethnography and economic science study the implementation of social labor unification and the processes of management, production, and distribution of goods and services. Sociology, as a discipline, should rise above all these sciences as a new quality. Therefore, when I spoke in lectures about sociologists, it is not offensive, but it should be understood. That is indeed true sociology, true teaching. The true teaching about the life of sentences is very significant for people's lives. And that sociology is indeed in this truncated form, in a cut version, when only the percentage of votes for one or the other is studied and recorded. This is not science at all, if you think about it. And sociologists, from the perspective of the concept of public safety, are, generally speaking, priests who should rise above all these sciences as completely new qualities. And the attitude towards sociology, as you can see now, is what they have positioned themselves this way. Therefore, to transition to new qualities, other approaches need to be defined for them. Sociology is the most general science among all the sciences of humanity, as all specific sciences must be interconnected in the process of life sentencing. And the sociologist is a part of society, its child, and he expresses his subjective opinion, subjective to each person, about objective processes. And therefore, the subjectivism of the researcher in sociology as a science is the only source of new knowledge on one hand, and on the other hand, since the assessments are subjective, it is the main source of errors in sociology. Therefore, the only methodological problem in sociology as a science is how to cultivate and organize the subjectivism of the researcher so that he acquires new knowledge and is protected from socially dangerous mistakes, and how to convince others the validity of new knowledge that no longer aligns with their traditional views, and how a powerful lever can break the stubbornness in the wise and shift the foolishness in the fools. This is what it's about. Therefore, these two problems are present in our society now. And the fact that the concept of public safety breaks these stereotypes, and that this process is not easy, must also be understood because the old slowly gives way to the new. And this process is happening now. And after resolving these issues that have been raised, sociology will transform from benevolent chatter into a life-giving force that will contribute to the sustainable development of humanity. And the concepts of public safety, the views presented in it, those provisions, help in the formation of what I told you about. What does the concept of public safety, dead water, propose? Well, let's recall in the most general terms, there are 6 generalized priorities. Let me remind you of them. Most primitive, simple one is the weapon of destruction. That is, the global slave-owning system is supported by force, meaning with the help of weapons, means of destruction. This is very unstable. A more powerful system of maintaining control. This is the weapon of genocide. The oldest alcohols and drugs. This is the oppression of the human psyche by various substances, toxic and narcotic. So alcohol, drugs of all kinds, and tobacco are also drugs. An even more powerful weapon is economic weaponry. And the main aspect here is the credit financial system based on usury, meaning the processes of managing the national economy complex, that is loans, subsidies, grants. All of this is part of the credit financial system, and with its help, people can be kept in submission, oriented towards a specific vector of goals, that is, a degrading parasitic one. The needs of all the growing elites will be satisfied, while everything else that we talked about. So, an even more powerful weapon that ensures both robbery and oppression and inciting conflict among people is this. Third priority of generalized means. This is a mirror. Here, the principle of divide and rule is implemented, dividing into multiple parties, teachings, etc. This is a weapon of various social technologies, where people are deceived, dumbed down by various religious beliefs, cults, secular ideologies, etc. This is a powerful weapon. Here in Russia now, you know, there are many parties, all fighting for the people's happiness. But in the end, it's all a bust from this struggle. Life is not improving, but getting worse. In second place in terms of power is chronological weaponry. This is when a multitude of facts are presented in an independent connection and so on. A fact is a stubborn thing. A fact is a very flexible thing. And historical myths are formed and justified through them, creating certain religions. That is, this is powerful chronological weaponry. And finally, in the very first place is methodological weaponry, worldview. That is, a person can be given such knowledge that he will understand everything himself. But should a slave owner be given knowledge so that the slaves are smarter and better than him? No, of course not. That is why such knowledge is given. Every cricket knows its own chirp. I hope that during our conversations or lectures, You have already clearly grasped this pyramid of social structure and the pyramid of knowledge. The higher you go, the more you know, and the lower you go, the less you know. All of this affects us. It is a weapon. All these priorities of generalized means keep people in obedience. And we propose that this is a concept of oppression, where everything is exactly the opposite of what it should be. So what should it be? We say that now it is the other way around. What is the first thing that needs to be done? People need to be given such knowledge that they can understand everything themselves. So what does this ensure? The concept of dead water precisely speaks about that all processes are interdependent, conditioned by each other, embody the process of Trinity in matter, information, and measure. All processes are manageable, and this is explained in a sufficiently general theory of control. Here is the worldview standard. Here is the platform on which everything should be based. And all of this can be implemented in schools, starting from kindergarten to universities, in academies, studying independently, and so on. The second thing we propose is to restore the correct understanding of the historical process of development. That is, to restore how historical processes were carried out in our country and how this management was implemented on a global level, to restore the historical truth about who the righteous were and who were the opposite. This particularly concerns the personalities of Stalin, Muhammad, and Christ. That is, considering historical issues from the perspective of the first priority. That is, how management was carried out without seizing isolated facts. Thirdly, what we are saying is to put an end to this foolish pluralism. This does not mean that there can be many opinions, but one must be able to engage in dialogue. Another distorted mirror. Truth is born in disputes. Nothing is born in disputes. Hostility towards each other is born in disputes. Truth is born in dialogue. The ability to engage in dialogue is something we haven't touched upon. It is a tandem management principle, where one presents a certain viewpoint and his partner opposes, looking from several other positions and stating what is good and what is bad. And this joint dialogue, two minds are good, but the third is unnecessary. Do you know the proverb? A Russian proverb. Therefore, the ability to engage in dialogue, seek unity in diversity, not in this foolish pluralism. Thus, all of this should be stopped. Generally speaking, all these parties are unnecessary. Because these are parties, they are parts of society. And I have already said, agrarian parties are for peasants, labor parties are for workers. In the end, nothing. So we say, one party cannot feed the people. Well, what kind of party is needed? A party that would carry a true concept. Because according to this concept, there are many parties. Pluralism. And according to this concept, there is one ideology. That is, according to this concept, there are many ideologies, and every gopher is an agronomist. And according to this concept, the righteous one, it simply needs to be presented in a form acceptable to the people. Therefore, we are engaged in ideological work, ideological power. In the economy, a ban on usury as a means of parasitism and creating inflation, the introduction of the energy ruble, currency parity, and further trade only in rubles. Accordingly, it becomes correct to define a fair currency parity. Since the state is secured by the power of its energy potential, the vector of goals, that is, the national economy, should be oriented towards meeting the demographically conditioned needs of society, which ensure the mastery of genetically determined potential by humans and sustainable reproduction of generations, that is, supersystems. Remember the processes occurring in supersystems that we discussed. This is what is most important in the economy. Remember the processes occurring in supersystems that we discussed. We can talk about other specifics there. In particular, when it comes to managerial and productive labor, all our salaries, pensions, and so on depend not on how we work, but on how we are managed. Therefore, In the concept of public safety and in the party program, what do we say? To introduce accountability for managers for their work. And how to do this? If you are running for governor or president or mayor of a city and our people are nominated and go, we say, how to measure the quality of my work. If I am elected, let's say, as the head of a region or city, then if during the first year I receive the average monthly salary for the region, the average like everyone else. Why? I haven't produced any parts, I haven't done anything yet. Year has passed, we measure what I have produced, what part I have made. If salaries increased, prices decreased, mortality decreased, and birth rates increased, did I make it so that people started to live better? I did. Therefore, according to the principle of suffering, I have grown a harvest. Should I be awarded a bonus of 100 salaries, or what? It would be right, fair. That is, I have produced a part, and now what? He becomes a boss, has done nothing, and already has a crazy salary and so on, and no responsibility. If I haven't done this, what should be done? Removing such a manager doesn't require elections. You didn't deliver. This can be included in the relevant laws. Because under this concept there are certain laws, and under this concept there will be other laws. If you haven't produced a part, get out. And if you are also a greedy thief, then there is no need to wait 4 years, leave, and no impeachment is needed. But this requires what? So that the people who choose managers understand this. They think, let's choose Vasya. Vasya is one of us. But when everything falls apart under Vasya, they will later say, well, that's how it turned out. That is, people need to be informed. Therefore, we say that the first priority is to provide people with knowledge on how to manage. Because the best shoemaker can only be chosen by shoemakers who understand this craft. Better are the turners, those who understand the turning art, etc. And the best managers can be chosen by those who understand management. But if the people currently know nothing about management, then what kind of democracy is that? This is just the dumbing down of people. What do we say is the fifth priority? To lead a healthy lifestyle. Managers should not manage while drunk at all. You can't drive a car, and even more so, a state. At the sixth priority, keep the powder dry. As at this stage of human history, there must be strong armed forces, primarily nuclear power, to ensure that no one attacks us. Because currently, there are no armed forces. They have been destroyed without a war. Here I have listed for you, in fact, in the most general terms, what is stated in the concept of public safety and what is proposed. More detail in our party's program. This is the big picture I presented. Therefore, if we talk about slogans, we are generally against slogans. Do you know why? Because how to say about many things. For example, power to the people. But what is power? Power is the ability to govern. Therefore, we are saying that we need to give people knowledge. And what are your slogans? One word cannot express the entire multifaceted life, and politics, and economics, and other things. Therefore, the main form of work of our party is to conduct such activities so that people understand what is happening, where it comes from, and how. Well, since slogans are being requested, here is what the Deadwater proposes. Here we say, stability in people's power. That is the stability of societal development in people's power. And what is people's power? Power of the people. How to ensure the power of the people? Universal, unlimited, accessible knowledge. Hence the salaries for teachers and so on. I think this is clear. Humanity is the formation of a humane structure of the psyche. Because speaking about types of psyche, we have studied these 5 types of psyche, up to the launched one. And now the moment has come when people must rise above serving their animal instincts, stereotypes, and habits, and move towards a humane structure of the psyche. Nationality. What does nationality mean? It is setting the vector of societal development goals towards meeting demographically conditioned needs and preventing degradation, parasitism. Justice. What is justice? refusal of monopolistically high prices for managerial labor products, payment of managers based on a strategic principle, honesty, refusal of usurious interest rates, interest-free lending, transition to energy invariance. Here are the key points, but they can be detailed again. The degree of detail depends on the person's interest, and we only welcome when people come to us and ask such questions. And how do you have this little thing here? Well, to get to this little thing, everything needs to be explained. That's why our course was so long. Not everything, of course, has been covered, but I believe that there is already a general understanding of what, who from other parties has seen such knowledge. No, mostly slogans. Forward, hooray, hit, smash, so power to the people and that's it. But what is this? How to do this? There is nothing of the sort. What scheme do we propose? So the previous scheme was a mass elitist one. What do we propose? Well, it may not have a very nice name, but we'll come up with another one someday. Generally speaking, it's a scheme for organizing a humane society. Well, here is the anti-mass elitist society, or the society of the future. You see, this is the glowing sphere. That is, unlike the pyramid, we propose a sphere. This is the most stable, so to speak, that's it. What is here? Orange represents the knowledge and wisdom in which all people immerse themselves. Beyond the orange, all of this blue and purple. That is the entire universe. This is the unknown. And from this unknown, there is a super-social level of governance. That is God, and we live on earth, constantly expanding the circle of our knowledge. The more we learn and expand our circle, the more we come into contact with the unknown. Inside, how is this justice ensured so that all people are human and there is no crowd of elitism? Here lies conceptual power. It will give, well, pay attention to everyone. This does not mean that there are some people sitting here who are the most important. Conceptual power is the power of ideas. It is not people, although it is realized through specific people. And conceptual power has four blades like cartwheel. This is the axis on which everything rests. Four. This is the four. Spokes. Therefore, here are the ideological, legislative, executive, and judicial. They hold all of this together seamlessly and efficiently serve it. And here it is highlighted as levels of management. This is the productive level of management. This is certainly the level of management at a certain level of solving some tasks. And here is the level of some specific and particular area of human activity. For example, machine engineering, shipbuilding, agriculture, and so on. And there are many people here, but what is the difference between the crowd and the elite pyramid? Every person here can access any knowledge. They can reach here. They can access legislative power. They can access conceptual power. And how does the rise through the types of power, through understanding, happen? A person begins life. They start with labor, learn about it, and thus they go through the journey. You won't become everything at once. You can't know it all. It's a process. Therefore, this path is indicated here, by the arrow. And a person can always approach the mastery of conceptual power and implement it. We will look further at their own level. That is, it is not necessarily that some priest sits there on a mountain or conversely in a cave. And it could be an ordinary grandfather in a village where grass grows up to the waist at the far station. A minister or some prime minister arrived at the distant station where he was born in this village. And this grandfather will tell him such things that the minister or prime minister or president will scratch his head and say, yes, Ivan Ivanovich is right. I need to implement this in my life. That is, conceptual power is not authority, not a position, and not a label on an office. But it is indeed the ability to realize one's intentions. That is, the ability to manage social processes. And through whom you will manage is another question. What is Yeltsin managing the country? No. That is, he was just a tool. and they were managed. He was just a puppet. Therefore, anyone can possess conceptual power. By possessing conceptual power, you can implement your plans. Next, we will see how this is done. Here is the image of this sphere. You can read more in the concept of public safety and its implications. As a comprehensive scheme of construction, the structure of society, management, and organization. Well, you can talk a lot about structures, but now you know what a structure is, right? 1/7 of the complete management function in various contexts. And you, friends, no matter how you sit down, you musicians are not suitable. That is, the structure must reflect the goals and tasks that are set, so to speak, goal setting, the vector of goals. So what do we propose? In this diagram you see there is this upper block, the predictor corrector. What is here? The predictor of Russia. And we named it in the program the Supreme Ruler of Russia, SR, the internal predictor. Generally speaking, the predictor, the forecaster, and the internal one, they say, who is this? What? And everyone should have it in their head. That is, everyone should have a king in their head. You need to have a king in your head. But this is a social character, the internal predictor. Although from the perspective of achieving goals, the global one ceases to be global, and what we call the internal predictor rises to the level of global tasks. But in fact, having been born in Russia, it has come to address global management tasks of all social processes on planet Earth. And it has the extremely and incredibly most important forecasting conceptual center, which provides forecasts and structures of the predictor. Then there are also the corresponding ministries. In the party program it is written there, this can be detailed. The essence is not in this. There is an organ of deputies. Are laws needed? Yes, they are. Should they be invented? Yes, they should. Therefore, the organ of deputies is subordinate, I emphasize. It is led by a predictor.